Welcome back to Poland Daily Travel. Here we are, we're in the room of photographs. Now this is a fascinating place. I'll tell you why. Because here we have a history of photographs from the city and of people who've populated the city over the last 150, 160 years, however long there's been photographs being properly taken. But there's a room here, and moving on through, there's a lot of photographs here. Here we can see there's a ruined mermaid right here, which is a beautiful photograph to show you the symbol of Warsaw still surviving the war, even in this destroyed state. And up here we have some motor cars in front of a rejuvenated mermaid. These motor cars from the post-war period, I believe this would be at the late 1950s, maybe the 60s, from the look of those cars. Of course, if you look at this, the cars that were made on the other side of the Iron Curtain tended to lag behind. Their style stayed behind the West by about 20 years in most cases. Here we have, again, the mermaid with a bus saying Orbis, which was a travel company. The old state travel company was called Orbis. And then we're moving along. Here's a shot from the old town, rebuilt. Here's some scenes of destruction from the time. Actually, I believe this is the old town before the war, right here. Of course it is, because here we see a truck. This looks like it's got to be the 1920s, I would say. Looks pre-war. Here's scenes of some of the destruction, as I said. Here, the city on fire, which was a regular occurrence during this time. There should be nothing surprising about that, knowing the history of what was happening. And here are some scenes of people rebuilding the city. This is post-World War II. You can come in and look at those photographs. You can see the task ahead and the great amount of construction. And it's interesting because Warsaw is under construction now, but in a very positive way. There's a lot of big buildings being built, so it's still a city under construction. This process began in 1945. It's still occurring. And in fact, I think there's more construction going on in Warsaw even today than in any other major European city, certainly any capital city. And here's, we talked about a pontoon walkway that they had in several hundred years ago. And here you can see that here's a pontoon bridge in the 20th century, just for pedestrians. It's only big enough for pedestrians. Here we see people relaxing because there are a number of swimming pools beside the river even today. Let's go around. Oh, also the beaches in Warsaw are famous these days throughout Europe. And over here we just have photographs of different periods of time. And there's a wealth of this sort of stuff that is existing in this room and in this exhibition. So it's well worth a look. Stay with us. More from Poland Daily Travel. We're looking in the Warsaw City Museum at the photograph exhibition.
Warsaw's Old Town. In 1945, it lay in ruins, 90% destroyed. In 1980, its reconstruction was completed. It was completed to such precise dimensions that years later, UNESCO made it an international landmark. In fact, the reconstruction was handled with such spectacular precision that it almost defies the imagination. It's a testament not only to good fortune, but to those who managed to save the architectural drawings and plans for the old city. When you visit Warsaw's Old Town, you are visiting the only place like it in the world, a completely reconstructed, painstakingly. In this sense, you might say it's even more Disneyland than Disneyland. It is simply a marvel. In this series of episodes, we'll be taking you to the Warsaw City Museum, and we'll be walking around the old town in the market square and hitting the highlights. We hope you'll get some sense of the Old Town's history and its present-day life. Come with us for a walk through living history in Warsaw's fantastic Old Town.
Welcome back to Poland Daily, and we're doing something I really love, which is looking at old photographs. I like taking them, but I also love taking photographs. I don't know about you, but it's something that fascinates me, and I love nothing more than to check out photographs in a place that I've never been, in a museum particularly, to see how the life was before. Being in the museum makes things even a little more exciting than just sitting with a book at home or certainly looking on the computer. You've got to get active, you've got to go out, you've got to engage with the actual snapshots themselves. And look at this. This is a find. As a former war correspondent, I've been in a number of conflict situations, and this really caught my eye. And it's not a surprise, because these photographs relate to a fellow called Sylvester Brown. His nickname was, or code name was, Chris, and he was a photographer for the Armii Krajowa, which is the partisan army of the Polish Republic, working under the command of the people in London. And look at these photographs. This is the war taking place right in front of your eyes. And here we have, troop movements and things like that. But I think well, this is just warfare in the streets, basically, live. And those guys are very brave, because they could take a bullet at any time. But look at this. This was the biggest skyscraper. I should use this hand, I suppose. The biggest skyscraper in Warsaw at the time, the Prudential Insurance Building. It's now a really beautiful refurbished hotel with a roof garden on the top, and I suggest you go there when you're in Warsaw. And not only that, but it's a great example of early 1900s architecture. And you see, Mr. Brown, Sylvester Brown, has caught the moment of the impact, because the Germans had singled out this building as one that must be destroyed, as a symbol of modern technology, etc., of Polish aspiration, if you will, and it had to be eliminated. So here he's caught the explosion right at the moment it happens. Imagine being there at the time and watching this and filming it and knowing that the enemy is destroying one of the finest objects, modern objects of architecture in your city. It must have been absolutely harrowing, and you get some sense of that standing here and looking at this photograph. But thank goodness the building, as I said, has been redone and is a fine building today. And kept its original position. But that's enough from me. Peter, you've got something. What have you got over there?
Yeah, thank you, Will. As we are saying about Prudential, it has been destroyed because we are having this building being the tallest building in Europe at the time when it is erected. So there is a very serious reason for demolishing it. But another value, the Nazi forces, once they are in the city of Warsaw, not only do they demolish houses and regular infrastructure, they are absolutely good in terms of gathering documentation and registering what was done. This photograph is one of such proofs. This is the bird's perspective of the old town, and it shows the gardens, the old town's main infrastructure, including the old town's market square, and what is extremely interesting, there is no royal castle at all. This is a very, very nice picture. This is an eye-opening thing, but if we will go a little bit further, then all the photographs that we see a little bit further the exhibition, they would present the period within these 35 years that Warsaw is being redone. Because of this massive piece of work, because of the fact that everything is redone almost in scale 1:1, then the old town of Warsaw is taken to the UNESCO inheritance list. And now, stay with us, we're going to see another place, another chamber in Warsaw Historical Museum.